All right, good morning, y'all. All right, so this is the Boruto chapter 52. I wouldn't say, I don't know, man. Not really a review. It's just more of like a pros and cons of likes and dislikes. And I'm glad I didn't do this chapter review type thing yesterday because I probably would have just spent most of my time explaining how I was disappointed about it. But, now that I've read it again, I actually have more things that I like about this chapter than I don't like. There was just that one major thing I didn't like. And we could get to that lastly because, like I said, there's more good than there was bad. But beginning with the actual cover itself, this was one of my, was it one of my favorite? I don't know. It's one of the more memorable ones. Like my favorite, still chapter 49 and 46. Those are my two. Chapter 49 is my screensaver. 46 was just like, I don't know. We just seen Kashin Koji. It was an all black cover. Him in the front, his hair blowing in the wind and shit. But I did notice about this cover, Naruto himself actually covers all of it. Like, it's all Naruto. It even covers the Boruto. Like, it doesn't even say Boruto. It's just my nigga's tails in the way and shit. Which I do believe they did that purposefully, giving him, like, the star of the chapter. Maybe something symbolizing how this is a big moment. This is going to be a big moment for us. And I'm still waiting on chapter 53, dog. Like, I feel like maybe this was a chapter they should have did like back to back. If it's like a major event like this, they could have gave us, 1-2. We just got the announcement. Kishimoto came back. Maybe he could have gave us 2 chapters in one. That would have been dope. If this was like a duo type chapter, like a 52 plus 53, that would have been awesome. Give us that, early Christmas, dog. That would have been cool. Cause I feel like this chapter is still not quite finished, And I don't mean like it was a bad chapter. Just like, I just wanted a little bit. I mean, maybe it was that good. Maybe it was so good that, left me. Because it did end on that cliffhanger, But another thing that I liked was when we finally jumped back into Kawaki and Amado. So they immediately start talking about the prosthetic hand and shit. He's due for a checkup and shit, which is kind of strange. And I'm leaning towards, I don't want to say trusting Amado a bit more, but he seemed a little bit disappointed when we got the whole teleportation scene where Kawaki just got pretty much kidnapped. But when they started bringing up that prosthetic arm and shit, that was one thing that I did like, how they were going to use that little chakra reserve, or not chakra reserve, but the chakra link to Naruto as their little news update. I felt that was a cool thing to have the people back in the Leaf Village. It gave them information about what's going down in that big fight, in a distant teleportation land type shit. Also, another thing I like, this is the third thing I like, the breakdown of info between the pre-fight, between Kurama and Naruto. Like, I'm not saying the information itself, but how they delivered it. So we had like that little flashback before they started fighting about, how the whole new, I believe it was the Baryon mode, how that works. Then they get into the fight. It's a lot of action, a whole lot of action. And at that point where Isshiki starts to bleed, cough out blood, they break into another flashback about more information. So they give you a little bit of information, give you the fight, and then they expand on that information that was had in that conversation between Naruto and not Isshiki, but Karma. I liked that breakdown of information. The delivery of the information was cool. The information itself, this is a good point to bring in what I didn't like. I did not like how we're introduced with this whole new mode, right? And then the explanation that we're given was just kind of half-assed. It was kind of just like, look, dog, all you need to know, Naruto, is this shit work. You're going to be strong. You're going to die. We're going to die together. But as long as you touch him, as long as you hit him, this shit is contagious, bruh. So this power, it's so strong that when you touch him, it diminishes his life force as well, which I also thought was cool. And this brings me into my next point. It became more so of instead of a battle of dominance, a battle of strength, it became a battle of time between Isshiki and Naruto. They're both pretty much like it was like a game mode where both of their fucking life bars were gonna, dwindle throughout the fight. But it was about who was able to last, who was able to, make it to the end, especially when they got to the point where Ishiki's like, yo, what the fuck? I had 2 days at the most to fucking live. I got fucking 30 fucking minutes now. And then later on, less than 10 minutes. So like the 30-minute mark, that got hype. That's where I was like, all right, now this fight is picking up. Because when it comes to the manga, for me personally, I like the informational dump chapters. I like those. The biggest thing that happened to me in a fight between like the whole manga itself was the moment where Sasuke like threw a sword. Like we never like, damn, this nigga's throwing a sword, and it ended up being Boruto. That was like the most hype I've ever got during a fight. Oh, actually no, Kashin Koji, he did a dope ass move. Honestly, the Kashin Koji versus Isshiki fight was better than this fight. I'm just gonna say that. Like, I know the stakes are higher in this current fight, but Kashin Koji's battle, and I think that was with Jigen at the time. So yeah, his fight was better than this shit. I'm not gonna even front. Like, his fight was way better. But I did like how this became, like I said, a battle of time between Isshiki and Naruto. And then also, my next point that I like, they highlighted more of Ishiki's intelligence, because at first he was kind of like questioning, like, yo, how did Naruto get so powerful in an instant? What's going on? And then eventually, as the fight goes on, he then realizes, oh, it's not the power of the attacks themselves. It's the fact that I'm getting attacked, period. My life force is diminishing because he's touching me. Which was, you know, it just shows you how intelligent he is. He did, you know, he lost his cool. He lost his cool. He was getting frustrated. This is probably the most frustrated that we've seen Isshiki. Before, you could say he was a bit annoyed. He always kept it calm, cool. He lost a bit of his manners in this fight, which is another dope little thing. But the best thing I liked about this chapter was the way it ended. You know, we had Boruto. First of all, he passed out during this whole shit, which I believe they did that because with Boruto alive, you know, he would have jumped into the fight. And I think that would have crippled Ishiki's ability to just go all out, because like we all know, Boruto's a valuable piece in this whole thing. So I feel like he would have held back, trying to avoid taking out fucking Naruto. Unless he could have killed him. I don't know. He kind of said, like, no, he was fronting. He was fronting when he said, I could kill you right now. He was lying. Boruto knew that shit. So I believe that they needed Boruto to, you know, pass out to avoid that again. But he opens his eyes near the end, and he might see his father die. He might just watch his father die. And the way Isshiki summoned Kawaki was pretty clean. I'm not gonna front. That was dope. He was choking out Naruto. He says, this chakra. And when I read it the first time, I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? The second read, I was like, okay, it makes a lot more sense. So like through Naruto, he was able to sense the location of Kawaki. But the thing is, like, he teleported him to his area. The only thing, so this might be like a nitpicky type thing. Maybe this is something that highlights the power of the Otsutsuki in general. But we have Isshiki, right? He's in this diminished version of himself because he used Jigen as a vessel. He's not even 100% Jigen yet, or 100% Isshiki. This is not his truest form. However, with less than 10 minutes in a lesser vessel, he was still able to use that teleportation jutsu to summon Kawaki last minute. Now, for the sake of the story, fuck it, let's go. I'm all for it. But, you know, it kind of seems like when you're using some kind of logic, and maybe I don't just have it all the way there as far as the intelligence of the Naruto universe goes, but it just seems like it's kind of like another thing where they just pull something out the ass. Like, okay, it's like, what's the point of even having a power scale in general? Like, why even mention how he's weak and this is not a good enough vessel if he can still do shit like this, you know? But we'll see next chapter. We'll see what the fuck happens. And depending on where this goes, like, what's the point of even, like, Kawaki as a character? It's like, this is why, sorry, y'all. This is why I do enjoy the anime a lot, because they fill in a whole bunch of gaps. So maybe in the anime, we're going to get more Kawaki, because if you read the manga, it's just kind of like, all right, here's Kawaki. We met him. We don't really get too much detail into his past. We just know he had an abusive past. And, you kind of just get, like, it's like he's like a secondary character, you know, because at this point, if he's already summoned and becomes Jigen's vessel through this point on, and that last fight that we see, or the fight that we see at the beginning of the series is really just Boruto versus Isshiki, then what's the point of, like, it's like we don't really have enough emotion for Kawaki. I mean, he looks cool. He had that cool power. But I feel like the anime is going to have to build Kawaki up a whole lot more for us to feel it greater in this story as a whole, you know? At least for me. That's my opinion on it. Because I just, like I said, I feel like Kawaki's just like another body, you know? It's like I don't know him enough. Like if he gets taken over by Isshiki again, it's like just reading it, it's like, okay, who cares, bro? It's just Kawaki. But I feel like the anime is gonna make me like Kawaki's dope. Kawaki's dope. I have this debate to myself all the time, like who would get more bitches, young Sasuke or young Kawaki? Because Kawaki a fly young nigga. I ain't gonna front. He a pretty nigga. But like I said, I don't know if we know him too much in the manga yet. I mean, he did have his little story with Naruto, you know, their little brotherhood for like 3 days. And shit got real immediately. So we'll see in the anime. We'll see what the anime does. And this was another chapter where it's kind of like a lot of action in it. So the anime is going to definitely do it some more justice. But that's all I got for this chapter. It was pretty solid. It was a solid chapter. I'm waiting on chapter 53, December 20th. I'm ready for that shit. But peace. And watch my Boruto content, please.